Hey guys, what? Hey guys, what's up? We are back here with another video, and today we are doing our Miami football prediction. So make sure you hit that subscribe button down below as we reach our goal of 1,200 subscribers before the end of August. Also, make sure you like this video if you enjoy it. Comment all your thoughts and opinions down below. And one final thing of announcements to before we get into the video is College Football Roundup. Make sure you go check out our weekly podcast channel that I have with American Football Network. College Football Roundup. The link will be right above in the top right-hand corner if you want to go ahead and check that out. Let's make our way over to schedule now. So with this Miami schedule, last year, to go over last year, even though I'm sure you do not want me to, Miami struggled mightily, finishing with a 5-7 record. Losses, embarrassing losses against Middle Tennessee State, against Pittsburgh, against Florida State, against Duke. There were some solid wins against Georgia Tech. That was a decent win, but overall, this was a very disappointing season and a season that really, I think, shocked a lot of Miami fans. Am I wrong to say that? But I think that it's definitely a season that you are going to need to be able to show this fan base. Mario Cristobal is going to need to show this fan base that he can be the head coach at Miami. He has 19 returning starters. 18 returning starters with a returning starter from Alabama and Tyler Harrell, the wide receiver. So kind of count him as a returning starter, even though I guess technically he isn't. So with this first game, you play Miami of Ohio, the Red Hawks. You should have no issue with this version of Miami. You should be able to beat them pretty easily before you have your Week 2 matchup up against the Texas A&M Aggies. With this matchup particularly, you're looking at two teams that last year and Miami lost that matchup 17-9, and obviously made it a very disappointing season after that. I still am befuddled that Miami went up in the polls after losing by 8 points against a lower-ranked Texas A&M team, but whatever. Particularly with this matchup, you're looking to see if you can get some offensive points on the board, because I think that both teams are probably going to struggle offensively. But if Tyler Van Dyke is able to kind of turn it around this season, you may be able to see an improved version of this offense. And I think with this team, you're looking at a team that is going to get better. I think that they're going to get better. I don't think it's going to get worse. But I think that you are able to get a win over Texas A&M, mostly because I believe in the defense that Miami has a little bit more. And I think Miami's offense is just going to be able to get enough points across the board, though I do think it is going to be kind of another disappointing kind of matchup when it comes down to it. Then you have Bethune-Cookman coming in on Thursday after a short week. You'll get a win there. There will be no issue. And if it's anything less than 60 points scored in that game, I would be a little bit concerned. The Bethune-Cookman, an FCS school, and an HBCU at that has been run poorly. And obviously, I think Bethune-Cookman actually had Ed Reed scheduled to come in as their head coach, or maybe I'm mixing it up with another university. But it was shown to be how corrupt they were and stuff like that. So they are just a mess of a program right now. Not a lot of money coming into it. Should be able to get an easy win there. Then you have a road game against Temple. I think that you should have very few problems when it comes to Temple particularly. I think that with Temple, you're looking at a team that they don't have many pieces. You should be able to beat them and beat them pretty handily. Then you have your bye week. It's early on in the season. That's not exactly helpful, but it is what it is. So I think that is just what you're going to have to play with. But you come off the bye week against Georgia Tech. I do think that you continue your win streak here, building up a lot of momentum and a lot of hype as you get closer to that Clemson matchup, where the season trajectory could really change as the season gets tougher after these first 5 games. But particularly when it comes to this Georgia Tech matchup. Last year, you did beat Georgia Tech 35-14, so I do think that you are able to get a win here. But Georgia Tech is going to be a much tougher team. I expect this to be probably within 2 scores by the end of the game, so I do think that you will get a win there, but by no means are you going to run away with it. Then you have a road game against North Carolina. I think that this is a loss. I think North Carolina offensively is going to be able to put up a lot of points, and I just don't see Miami being able to do that in this type of matchup. You did almost beat North Carolina last year at home. This game is in Chapel Hill this year, and I think that you are going to struggle in this matchup particularly, even though I think it is going to be a high-scoring matchup with a lot of points from your offense, with North Carolina's defense being so bad, but I just don't see you being able to keep up offensively, though I think it probably will continue to be a close matchup the way it has been for pretty much the last 3 years, outside of the or the last 2 years, I should say, because, well, in 2020, it was not very close it was a 62-26 matchup. Then you have a home game against Clemson. Not only is it Clemson, but Clemson is also coming off a bye week. So that definitely is not very helpful. The Tigers obviously have a new quarterback in Cade Klubnik, new-ish, as he started the bowl game and played in the ACC championship as well as a few other games. But he is now the starter. You bring in Garrett Riley to play offensive coordinator, or to be offensive coordinator, not play, but be. And I think that you're looking at a matchup that I just don't see Miami overcoming. Miami has struggled against Clemson last year and has struggled in the past, and I just don't see that changing. I think defensively, Clemson is too good, too physical, too big in order to for this Miami team to really get in their face and get some points up on the board, so I do think that it is a loss. Then in another home matchup, back-to-back weeks, you play the former offensive coordinator for Clemson, Tony Elliott, and his Cavaliers, and I think you get a win there. I don't think that there is much of any issue when it comes to Virginia and playing them in football this year. Tony Elliott, obviously a very disappointing year last year, and to be honest, this isn't a Virginia video, so I don't think I'll offend too many Virginia fans when I say I think they are going to suck once again. I think this is a Virginia team that definitely has a lot of issues, not only at quarterback, but also at all the skill positions, whether on offense or on defense, whether you're looking at the secondary on defense, whether you're looking at the wide receiver core or the running back core. You have a lot of issues that you need to deal with, and I just don't see this Virginia team being able to deal with them this year. I have that as a win for the Hurricanes. Then you head to North Carolina State. You head to Raleigh, North Carolina. You play the Wolfpack. The Wolfpack have Brennan Armstrong as their quarterback, and even though I am not as high on Brennan Armstrong as everybody else seems to be, just moon high on Brennan Armstrong, which I don't fully understand that, because Brennan Armstrong was great, and he has his old offensive coordinator with him and all that stuff, but it's like, okay, I'm a little bit less convinced. Let's just put it that way. But at the end of the day, I do think that this is a loss. I think North Carolina State, they have good defense, they have a good offense, and even if I'm not as convinced about Brennan Armstrong, it's a team that I just don't see Miami beating. I think that Miami has a lot of issues, a lot of things they need to deal with, and even though they may be able to beat some crappy ACC teams, that doesn't mean they'll be able to beat the solid ones at all. Then you have a road game against Florida State, and there is no way I am giving you a win against Florida State. Last year, the score was 35-3. Florida State wiped the floor with you. That game was at home. This game is at the Doak. This is not going to be an easy matchup. Miami fans, I'm sorry, but this is going to be a bad rivalry game for you. I think that it is going to be a game in which you struggle in mightily, and with no Florida on the schedule this year, I'm sure that is going to sting that you lose your one rivalry matchup of the year. Unless if you consider, I don't know, Clemson a rival, or I don't know who else you would consider a rival, really. You don't have Notre Dame on the schedule. You don't have Florida. Florida State, it's not going to be pretty. I think that you do really struggle in this game. Last year, it was a terrible game. But we don't need to dwell on things of the past. Louisville, you play Jeff Brom and crew later on in the season. Jack Plummer is their quarterback, and it made it a really interesting matchup. And to be honest, I very much thought about putting this game in the loss column, but with it being at home, I am going to give the win to the Hurricanes. I think that with this game being at home, I'm going to give the slight edge in a 50-50 matchup to the Hurricanes. But if this game was on the road, I'd probably give the matchup to the Cardinals. But with that being said, I do think that Louisville is going to be a tough challenge. I think Jack Plummer in the offense is going to put up quite a bit of points. And I think Jeff Brom is a solid head coach and a better fit for the ACC rather than the Big Ten, because the Big Ten and Purdue, he's in a tough spot to recruit. Louisville, he's in a much better spot to recruit. Even though that sounds a little bit weird, Louisville is a better school to recruit at than it is in Purdue, because almost all the big-time Purdue recruits are all the big-time Indiana recruits are probably going to Notre Dame, and all the big-time Midwestern recruits are going to either Notre Dame, Ohio State, or Michigan. Then you have a road game against Boston College. You'll get a win here. Jeff Hafley will probably be fired by this point, as he has run that Boston College program straight into the ground. And I think Jeff Hafley has struggled to be able to create any sort of consistency and any sort of viable system there up in, Chestnut Hill. I was thinking Chapel Hill, but I'm like, that's North Carolina. So that pretty much wraps up today's video. I have Miami going with an 8-4 record, which I think seems pretty reasonable, and a reasonably successful season for Miami. Miami, what do you think if Miami went 8-4? Miami fans, what do you think if Miami went 8-4 this season? I would be kind of mixed on it if I was a Miami fan. I'd think, that's better. That's progress. But how good is Tyler Van Dyke? Is Tyler Van Dyke coming back? How good is he? So that's going to be it for the video. Hit 2 videos down below. One will be the podcast link for all of my college football prediction videos, and hit the subscribe button up here as we reach towards our goal of 1,200 subscribers. As always, have a great day. Bye, guys.